You may have seen viral videos of drones delivering a single cup of coffee that costs 500 baht, and you might have thought to yourself that this is just a marketing gimmick, a toy for the rich, or a far-fetched fantasy that could never really become part of our everyday lives. But what if I told you that while the Western world is currently getting excited about experiments delivering small cups of coffee, on the other side of the planet, a major river like the Yangtze has already been transformed into a kind of aerial expressway for drones? This is not just an experiment, it is an industrial-scale transportation system where drones can land on cargo ships moving in the middle of the river to deliver food and supplies to the crew without a single human pilot involved. What is even more shocking is that we are standing at the threshold of a historic economic turning point. The latest reports confirm that the delivery drone market is set to grow at a staggering compound annual rate of 42.7% through 2032. At the same time, the cost per delivery is expected to plunge to just $2, around 70 baht, within the next decade. That is cheaper and faster than the pickup truck delivery systems you are familiar with today. Today, I'm going to take you behind the scenes, into the single piece of legislation that could unlock global airspace and the hidden technologies that make drones smart enough to work alongside humans. Welcome to the new world of the low-altitude economy. Before we look at what the future will look like, we need to understand why this hasn't worked in the past. The biggest obstacle was not technology, it was regulation. Long-range delivery drone flights, known as BVLOS, or Beyond Visual Line of Sight, which simply means flying far enough that the pilot can no longer see the drone, have been extremely difficult to carry out legally. In the United States, if you want to run this kind of business, you have to apply for special case-by-case waivers. The process is complex and time-consuming, almost like applying to start a new airline. But that regulatory wall is set to come down in 2026 with something called Part 108. This is a new framework from the FAA, the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, that will change the game entirely. Instead of requiring individual exemptions, Part 108 will make long-range drone operations the standard. Imagine this. Today, a pipeline operator might need as many as 20 separate approvals just to use drones to inspect their infrastructure. Under Part 108, a single certification would cover all operations. This is the key that allows drone businesses to scale for real, not just remain small, isolated pilots. And once the legal pathway opens, innovation explodes. The success model to watch is not in Silicon Valley, but in China. There, a national policy known as the low-altitude economy is already in motion. The clearest examples can be seen in Zhejiang province and the Yangtze River Delta. Companies like A2Z Drone Delivery have built autonomous drone networks covering more than 900 square miles. These drones don't just deliver packages, they patrol waterways, inspect reservoirs, and deliver emergency rescue equipment. Tasks that once took teams of people several days can now be completed by drones in just 90 minutes. You might be wondering how intelligent these drones really are. How can they land on a rocking ship in the middle of a river? The answer lies in a tightly integrated stack of technologies working in perfect sync. Landing on a moving platform is one of the hardest challenges in engineering. Ships are never stationary. They move forward and roll with wind and waves. Modern drones rely on computer vision combined with state-of-the-art AI algorithms like YOLO V8 to detect targets in real time. These systems work together with laser-based distance sensors, or LiDAR, to calculate height and distance with centimeter-level precision. Research shows that AI-controlled systems like this can reduce positioning errors to just 0.07 meters, only 7 centimeters. As a drone approaches a ship, it synchronizes its speed and direction as if it were hovering motionless above the target before lowering cargo by cable or landing to recharge its batteries. This is the technology that fuses water-based and aerial transportation into a single seamless system. So, what does all of this mean for the rest of us, or for businesses that don't operate ships? The real significance lies in a fundamental restructuring of logistics. We often picture drones delivering pizza to our front doors, so-called last-mile delivery, but the truly massive opportunity lies in the middle mile. Think about transporting blood samples or antibiotics between hospitals. In London, drones are already being tested to fly pathology samples between hospitals, reducing patient wait times and genuinely saving saving lives. Or consider delivering spare parts to offshore oil rigs, jobs that previously required extremely expensive helicopter flights. Drones fill the gaps where trucks can't reach, or where traffic congestion makes time costs prohibitively high. Studies show that combining drones with traditional vehicles, or even cargo bikes in cities, can dramatically cut costs and carbon emissions. This is especially critical in dense urban centers with pollution restrictions, or zero-emission zones that will come into force across many European cities in 2025. Drones and cargo bikes may be the ultimate solution to this difficult problem. Of course, every transformation comes with challenges. Safety and privacy remain sensitive issues. Reports from Dublin indicate that some residents feel uncomfortable with the noise and feel watched when drones fly over their homes. This is a challenge operators must solve, not only with quieter technology, but by building trust with local communities. In the end, 2026 is not just another year on the calendar. It marks the beginning of a new S-curve in logistics. When Part 108 removes regulatory shackles, when AI and sensors give drones sharp eyes and intelligent brains, and when business models prove they can truly cut costs and generate profits, we will see skies filled with invisible yet powerful transportation networks. The real question today is not whether drones will replace delivery trucks. The question is whether your business is ready to look up and seize the opportunity of the emerging low-altitude economy. Because if you wait until a drone flies by your window, by then it may already be too late.
Now, looking at Thailand, we've already seen drones become a common sight across our vast agricultural landscape. But moving from crop spraying to industrial-scale logistics, like what we see on the Yangtze, is still hitting a major wall: airspace regulation. However, the tide is turning. If the FAA's Part 108 becomes the global gold standard in 2026, it will trigger a regulatory domino effect that our local authorities simply cannot ignore. We could see Thailand adopting the waterway model from China, utilizing the Chao Phraya River and our extensive canal networks as ready-made aerial highways, where safety risks are significantly lower than in dense urban centers. But to scale this, we need more than just better drones. We need a sophisticated air traffic management system. This is where HAPS, or High Altitude Platform Stations, comes into play. Think of HAPS as floating cell towers hovering in the stratosphere. These platforms act as high-altitude hubs for 5G and command signals, providing a stable, wide-area communication link that allows thousands of drones to operate autonomously without relying solely on ground-based towers. This infrastructure is the invisible highway that will eventually pave the way for eVTOLs, electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicles, or what we commonly call flying cars. These aren't just small planes, they are the next evolution of urban mobility, electric, quiet, and capable of landing on a rooftop. This isn't just about the convenience of delivery, it represents a true new S-curve for Thailand's economy. But I want to leave you with one final critical thought. As our skies begin to fill with these new digital roads, who really owns the air above us? Is it the state? Is it the corporations? Or does it belong to the people? As shareholders of this new frontier, how much of a say do we want in shaping the future of the low-altitude economy? Let me know what you think in the comments below.